Never a bad time of year or time of day to find out what's going on over at Keenan Football Center, and no better person to tell us than Michael Lombardi, Carolina's general manager. Michael, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me, Adam Jones. Good to be here. It's
Great to see you again.
Back. Yeah, it's nice here. It was cold the last time I came over, but now we got summer coming on us.
That means football season's approaching.
It's coming. We're less than 100 days, right?
Jones has been doing the countdown.
Yeah, counting it down.
And I think all Tar Heel fans are kind of wondering this time of year, what is happening over at the Keenan Football Center?
A lot. I think one thing that's happened over at our facility is that the reconstruction of the team. I think when you get done spring and then you have a spring portal where players leave, some players you're asked to go in the portal, some players chose to go in the portal, you have a chance to recalibrate your team. I think when Bill and I first got here in December, we were just trying to add players to the team. This portal, we were trying to build a team. And I think when you go out and watch us run and watch us work out and do those things, I think you can see what we're trying to accomplish in terms of team building. And the energy is different because, look, let's be clear. There's not a portal that awaits us. There's a season that awaits us. So everybody's tied in. Everybody's together. We know we have a team that we're going to be able to run through the season together with. And that's important in terms of keeping a sense of belonging. Teams – they all don't look alike, they all don't behave alike, but they all have to come together. And I think now that's part of what we're doing.
When you do have so many new pieces, how hard is it to get guys to come together when you are bringing in a lot of new pieces in a relatively short amount of time?
Well, I mean, we're really fortunate that we have an 8-time Super Bowl champion head coach who's done this for a living. I mean, every NFL team starts over. We have free agency in the NFL. We have the draft in the NFL. Even though we only cut down to 53 players, most of the team is new, and so you have to start. And one of Belichick's golden principles has always been, whether we won the Super Bowl or we finished first in the draft, we're starting over again. And when you start over, you start with the basic principles, the fundamentals, the techniques, and that's what we're doing. And so we bring the team together, and, we have to create leaders. We know who can become good leaders on our football team outside of the coaches. So that's what you try to do, and that's what this bonding session is. Before I came to talk to you guys, I watched our offensive team go through their workouts, and it's great to see the energy. It's great to see the conditioning of our team. Moses has done a tremendous job, and his staff. And the players have bought in. I mean, you can feel it. I mean, one thing about winning Super Bowls, one thing about being around good teams, they all kind of work together. They're different, but work together. This one, you can feel the energy.
In your book, there's a very specific section on interviewing potential head coaches that is very detailed. As you've been in college football now for 6 months-ish, is there anything you would add to that section in terms of college head coaches?
Well, I think you have to have two hats as a college head coach. You got to think like a head coach and think like a general manager, which is why we're fortunate to have the 8-time Super Bowl champion as the head coach, because there's sometimes you have to make decisions that are short-term and sometimes you got to make decisions that are long-term. And I think in that questionnaire that I submitted in Gridiron Genius, I don't think there was really a section for how to think about some problems that you don't anticipate. Al Davis used to tell us all the time at the Raiders, greatness of organization lies in the ability to anticipate problems, not react. And I think being a head coach in college, you have more problems you must anticipate besides react to.
So the roster, the portal, just all these things are different for everybody right now. This offseason was different for every college in America. What have you guys learned about this process that maybe you just couldn't know unless you were a part of it and going through it?
I mean, Jonesy, that's a great question. So when I wrote Gridiron Genius, the whole premise of the book is you have to scout inside out. You got to know who you are to find players that fit. It's a little bit like, the FBI doesn't search for serial killers in the phone book, right? They have a profile. And so, but part of the profile is understanding your school, understanding your team. If you're the general manager of the New Orleans Saints and Bourbon Street's 5 blocks away from your facility, you might want to think about what kind of kids you're bringing into New Orleans, right? Same thing if you're in Tampa or Miami and those places, or Green Bay is a whole different element. I think what Bill and I have learned in our 6 months that we've been here is what kind of player fits on the campus of Chapel Hill. And I think that becomes important to us because what we're looking for is multipliers. right? What we want is players that multiply one another. So when we scout inside out, we find somebody that fits Carolina, and then they'll recruit somebody who fits what they do. And so think of it this way. You've got, when Bill first gets to New England, he's got Troy Brown. Then he has Wes Welker. Then he has Julian Edelman. Then he has Danny Amendola. And the list goes on and on. They're all the same player, right? They're not the same person, but they're all the same player. They're multipliers. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here. And now that we understand what it takes to be really successful in Chapel Hill, part of the fabric of the campus, I think now we can start adding multipliers to our team, and that's what we're doing.
In your opinion, what is that? What are those qualities? What are the people that fit here?
Smart, tough, and dependable.
Yeah.
It goes back to what he talked about when he first got here. Smart, tough, and dependable. Players that care about football, players that want to get better. Here's what we know, and we've saw it through Moses' program when we got here. Guys that buy into the program will get better. I think there's no question that the most important quality any Carolina player has is self-awareness. If you don't have self-awareness, you can't get better because you can't get coached. You can't have a conversation, oh, man, I got that. Oh, no, it's my bad. No, we're going to get you better, and you're going to take coaching and it's not criticism. So I think that self-awareness with smart, tough, and dependable players.
If I'm random Team X, and I look at it and I say right now, well, Carolina's going after guys who fit these type of criteria, or the Patriots were going after these type of criteria, I would just go find some more guys like that. Why are you and this organization better at finding those guys than everyone else? Because like the blueprint's there, you already wrote the book. Like all I got to do, turn to page whatever, and here's the answers.
I think that's a question that really comes down to because we have one voice. This is a two-person job, but it's a one-voice job. And the voice is Coach Belichick's. And the program is Coach Belichick's. And the vision is Coach Belichick's. And his job every day is to make sure we're maintaining that vision, to make sure that everybody that works for him, me included, is maintaining that vision. And when we get sidetracked, we'll hear one of his favorite lines of all, we got what we deserved. And I think that's what's really important. And I've seen it. Look, the one great thing about working for organizations that lose, you learn what not to do. And most organizations that lose don't have somebody who ties everything together. It's a little bit of everybody wants to talk about alignment. We have to be aligned. Of course, when you lose the first game, there goes alignment, right? There it goes right out the window. Well, Bill's all about being aligned. And we are all aligned from everything we do, our strength coach to our nutrition, who does an incredible job, Amber, but our nutrition is tied to our chef, who we brought in here from the Patriots. Everything is aligned because our head coach makes sure it's aligned.
How is Caroline, you've talked a lot about running the organization like a professional organization. How has that message resonated with some high school guys that you guys have spoken to, and what's their response to some of the things that Carolina is trying to do?
Well, look, I think recruiting's a two-way street, right? Okay, so we're recruiting players, but we're also want to make sure that the players want to recruit us. Again, inside out. Like, we don't fit for everybody. We're not, if you want to do a lot of things that are outside of football, we're probably not the place for you. So our messaging, when it resonates, like everybody asks this stupid question of all the recruits. They say, where are you going to go to school? That's the dumbest question you could ask. It's why do you want to go to school? And so what we're selling at North Carolina is our why. We're selling our why. We want smart, tough, and dependable players. We want players who want to get better every single day. We want self-awareness, right? You're playing for the greatest coach of all time. That's what we're selling. That's our why. Now, if your why matches our why, we're going to have a hell of an opportunity, and we're going to win a lot of games. But if your why doesn't match, go to the next school.
This is one of the least individual springs I think I can ever remember. Like, I think it would have been possible to be a Tar Heel football fan and pay pretty good attention to spring football and not have a real firm idea on who's on the two deep. How do individuals begin to stand out? And does it matter if and when individuals begin to stand out and have any?
Well, you just hit the most perfect word, matter. Everything matters. Going to class matters. Being on time matters. Doing every weight fundamental matters. paying close attention to your hydration, that matters. So all those things that matter all of a sudden lead you to the practice field, which matters too. So nothing is more important. There's nothing that's worth 50 points and something's worth 10. Everything's worth the same. And so players stand out by doing what they have to do, by being smart, tough, and dependable, and doing it every single day. And that's how you get there. And then obviously the fruits of your labor come out on the field. I mean, everybody complains about the pay for play and the NIL, but at the end of the day, it's all about how do you perform on the field. That's my job. That's Bill's job. That's the coach's job to see how they perform on the field. And once we recognize that, then that becomes an easier equation.
To this point, have any stood out who make you immediately think, this guy gets it?
Oh, I think we have a lot of guys that get it. I think that's what my whole theme in this conversation is. I think we have added a lot of players that may be new but get it. And when players get it, it doesn't matter if they're new. They just fit right in. It's like you can marry your high school sweetheart and get divorced after 4 years, and you can meet a woman after 2 weeks and be married for 50 years, right? Once it clicks, it clicks. And so it gets it, and that's what you feel better walking off the practice field. This isn't about wins and losses. This is about how we're building a team. And when you walk off the practice field, we have a lot of guys, multipliers, that get it.
Is it hard to identify guys on the practice field without the numbers?
Impossible. It drives you crazy. It was impossible at New England. It's impossible here, but there's a cause and effect to it, right? What I think it really does for somebody from my point of view, Bill's point of view would be it helps with communication. It helps with the players getting to know one another. Because Bill Walsh used to say this to us all the time, Marines fight for Marines, right? And so if you don't know who you're playing next to, and you don't understand the history of who the guy is and what he's all about, it's hard to fight for him. But for me and all our personnel guys, what it does is it eliminates bias. So we're watching you, Jonesy, on tape, and two guys may say, Jonesy's too stiff. He's not good enough, right? Okay. But now when we don't really know who Jonesy is and he does something good, all of a sudden that bias goes away, right? Because we've taken away the predetermined evaluation of the player, which I think is healthy.
The initial scout was correct. Yeah, too stiff. Can't really help.
I didn't mean to. I wasn't insulting you. You don't want to watch. You don't want to watch. You don't want to watch my Hofstra tape. I can promise you that.
At least you were on film. I wasn't even on the film.
Adam was over there getting water.
In new ACC land, being a big brand matters. Getting high TV ratings matters. There's financial incentive there. How is Carolina football positioned to be a big brand and maybe the biggest of the brands?
Well, I mean, we have the greatest coach of all time. I mean, let's face it. I mean, no disrespect to any of the great coaches in the ACC, but he's got 8 rings attached to his fingers. So people are going to pay attention to that, and I think that our job is to put the best football team we can out there on the field. And look, we know this about ratings. Winning determines ratings, right? Nobody wants to watch 2 bad teams play. So it doesn't matter who the coach is. So we understand that. We take that responsibility on and we embrace it. We have to build a good football team here.
What are the next steps now as you guys move through the summer? As you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, a little less than 100 days away from kickoff. What are the next steps right now for the program?
Let's bond the team, build the team, get together, get team unity, kind of reinforce who everybody is, and then get in condition. I mean, look, football is a game of mental and physical toughness. It's also a game of fundamentals and techniques, but more importantly, it's a game of conditioning. Because you've got to be ready to play in the fourth quarter at the same level you played in the first quarter. And Moses does a great job with that. And our strength program is outstanding. He and his staff have done an incredible job. I mean, look, we gained 400 pounds of muscle. We lost all this fat. I mean, it's really remarkable what they're doing. And we're going to continue that through the month of July. And then when we hit the field in August, the first day, we don't have to worry about who's in shape and who's not. We're ready to go.
You seem like a guy who may not think much about this type of thing because you're thinking about what do I need to accomplish today. If you do think about that first game against TCU, what are you looking forward to about walking out on the Kenan Stadium field that night under the lights on a Monday against a team that people know?
I haven't even gotten there. I mean, I really haven't. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to get the best players we can for the 26 recruiting. We got a bunch of kids coming in today, and I want to make sure they have the best visit. TCU is down the road. I think to me, the one thing that I've learned being around Coach for so long is we can only control what we can do today. Look, I'd lie to you if I didn't tell you I'm going to be excited to see a game in Kenan Stadium. I've never really experienced that from the sidelines and from the press box. So, and I would be excited for all our kids and all the people that have done an incredible job, from all the people on my scouting staff who have worked tirelessly to help us build this team, to the coaches and to all the support staff, the guys in the equipment room, and Luke in the training room. I mean, that's a day that we all have to embrace, and it's a day we wait for. But today we got to take care of today.